Hey everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of the Minnesota Twins FSL podcast. Here we are to talk about the 2037 season that was. The Minnesota Twins won a grand total of 65 games. What does that mean? That means they were worst in the American League, but not worst in FSL overall. That goes to the Washington Nationals and then the San Diego Padres. Both had fewer wins than the Twins this year. But the Twins were worst in the American League, obviously worst in the American League Central Division, 8 games behind the Kansas City Royals in 4th. Once again, the Twins are finishing with a winning percentage just above 400. When was the last time it was better than, say, 450? Guess what, folks? That would be 2035 when they were at a winning percentage of 481. Otherwise, you have to go all the way back to 2029 when they were at a win percentage of 451. That is 73 and 89 last winning season. 2028, this organization is probably going to be looking at another down year again in 2038. I'm sorry to say. But hey, you know who I am. I am James Pablano, the GM of the Minnesota Twins. Back one complete season with the Twins. I managed the Oakland Athletics for a little bit of time at the beginning of the real life 2025 calendar year. Hey, it's 2026 now. Welcome to another new year. Hope everything has treated people well so far. We're going to talk about how the Twins were bad. And do we have any plans for improving the team? A little bit, but it's going to be hard. Why is that, James? Well, that's because we've got a $42.5 million contract retention for Dong-Hwan Kim to go play for the Houston Colt 45s, I guess. They're not the Astros here. The Houston Colt 45s. And guess what? He exercised his option for 2038 or 2037. No, 2038. We are in 2037, but we've got 2038 season up ahead of us. I expect him to exercise his option for 2039 when we get around to it. What does that mean? That means we're going to be on the hook for $48 million in 2039. Not a great signing, not a great trade in the history of the Twins. That's okay. We can do what we can do. Who knows? Maybe he'll get traded and somebody else will retain some money. Either way, I still have to retain 50%. So that's 90 plus million still on the books. 2038, 2039. Fun. Overall payroll is expected to be currently $176.7 million. What does that mean? That means we maybe will cut a little bit more depending on if current closer Dylan Ankney, 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 not Ankney like the suburb of Des Moines, Ankney, signs his offered extension. We'll see if that happens this upcoming sim. Keep your fingers crossed. That'll save the Twins a little bit of money. Everybody knows the Twins need to save some money now. Why? Because their budget continues to fluctuate. Somehow, we're earning $6 million more in 2038 due to media revenue increases. That's exciting. How are we going to spend that money? Player dev. How are we going to spend that money? Scouting. What does that mean? That means we need to increase our spending for that. Turns out we didn't really spend that much on scouting and player dev in 2037. Kind of unfortunate. 2036, we spent probably twice as much money, but with an increase in payroll, we decided to cut scouting and player development expenses. When were those decided? Before I joined the organization. That's when. That's okay. We're going to move forward. We're going to see what we can do. That's okay. What does that mean? Let's quickly go through team stat rankings for the Minnesota Twins in the 2037 season. Guess what? Only thing that they were above 10th place in offensively, base running, plus 11.4 runs above average for base running. Guess what? That's first in the American League. Great job, guys. Did that really do much for the team? Probably not. Runs scored 10th, 719. Batting average 10th. On-base percentage 11th along with OPS. Batting WAR and WOBA were both 12. 12.4 batting WAR overall. That just doesn't seem very good. Seems very, very bad. WOBA 0.309. That's fine, probably. Overall OBP was 318. Now, offensive environment maybe changes a little bit, but 318 seems really bad. That seems really, really bad. A 706 OPS is definitely bad. Home runs, 150. That's less than one home run per game in the regular season. Probably need to see an increase in that. Unfortunately, I don't know if that'll happen this year. We don't have a lot of power bats in the lineup once again. Stolen bases, 12. But you think about that, okay, they were 12th in the league in stolen bases, but overall base running, plus 11.4, first in the American League. Kind of demonstrates that maybe you don't need to steal a bunch of bases to be above average overall with your base running. But does that really make that big of a difference for how your season plays out? Not particularly. If it comes down to the margins, maybe that's something to keep in mind, but this team is so far away from having to be nitpicky on the margins to actually improve. That's not really the case. On the pitching and defensive side, this is probably where they really struggled more than anything else. Runs against 13th with 806, so that is almost 100 more runs allowed than scored in the regular season. Starters ERA and bullpen ERA, both 14th in the league. Starters had a slightly better ERA at 4.64 compared to 4.91 in the bullpen. FIP 4.66, so very, very close to starters ERA, bullpen ERA a little bit higher, but that's okay. Pitching WAR was somehow worse than batting WAR at only 11.7. 14th in the league for that. Somehow we struck out the fourth most batters in the American League with 1,402 strikeouts. Didn't really seem to help. Defensive efficiency, this may have been why we struggled a little bit. 9th, 0.673 with a zone rating of negative 21.3, good for 12th in the American League. That's real bad. Part of that is probably the 71 errors that's 4th in the American League for the past year. So something easy to hopefully fix would be defense. Probably mainly within the infield. There was a lot of fluctuation going on. Shema Radis, where does he play? Do we put him at second? Do we put him at first? Walt Ballash eventually became the everyday second baseman. Looking at how he did last year in 146 games at second base. He had an efficiency of 1.064 and zone rating of positive 8.7. That's pretty good. That's probably what you want to see. Looking at Shemar Radis, R-E-A-D-U-S. Radis, probably Radis. But looking at how he did, he played 18 games at second base and had a zone rating of negative 4.1. Zone rating is a cumulative stat. And he, in 18 games, had about half as much negative zone rating as Ballash did positive zone rating in 10 times as many games almost. That's crazy. We're going to keep him off second base unless he absolutely needs to play there. Looks like he's kind of a wash at first base, which largely that's fine. Maybe we have somebody come in to be his defensive replacement when needed. Either way, Shamar is going to be on the team for a little while. He has a contract through 2041. He produced pretty well offensively. He had a 121 OPS plus. Good for 2.4 WAR overall. I think that's fine given where we are. Do I love that I'm paying him $11.6 million? Maybe not, but he's at least producing. 2.4 WAR for $11.6 million is probably okay, actually. Other interesting things that happened when we look at, how was the fielding? How did we do? We look at kind of our starters by position. Oh, this is a horrible thing. I'm trying to do this through the league history page. This is probably not what to do. Let's go to fielding. Fielding percentage, David Lozada was the best fielder by fielding percentage. I should have pulled up sortable stats. Overall zone rating tops on the team. Unsurprisingly, Walt Ballash, 8.7 at second base. Good for you. Andy Haynes, 4.2 in the outfield. This is Chad Harvey, our 25-year-old kind of outfield prospect, kind of outfielder. Now he hopefully can still continue to improve. We'll see what happens, but man, he struggled a little bit in the major leagues this year. He definitely hit better down in AAA. Hopefully that little bit more of seasoning will be enough for him, but wait and see. Largely, though, we are going to try to just improve the defense, probably starting with the infield. I'm comfortable that we've got a decent amount of ground ball pitchers, and especially if I bring up a few more from the minor leagues, they should be able to keep the ball at least on the ground somewhat, and they can get hoovered up by our infield. We need to make sure we've got decent infield defense. Infield defense is significantly more affordable than infield offensive production, and we're just kind of hamstrung by payroll and other expenses. We're going to continue to try to improve our player development and scouting. What does that mean? That means we need to push more money into those. And with 40 plus million sitting out in Houston, we can't really do much at times how we would want to. But there's opportunities here. We're going to be looking at the draft. We're going to be looking at international amateurs again, seeing who we can bring in. Big exciting news transaction-wise is really, hey, who are all these extensions were signed by to avoid arbitration? We did a lot of our business during the postseason sims when we didn't really have anything else to do, but we were able to get a lot of agreements made, so you're not having to go to those fun arbitration hearings and really letting a third party decide, hey, are we going to side with the team or are we going to side with the player? And that could be anywhere between $250 to a couple $1 million, which we're pinched right now. We got to make sure we can get stuff in while we can. So getting all of these agreements done was really, really beneficial. The most exciting overall extension was probably getting a multi-year extension done with Juan Navarro. He's a 26-year-old pitcher, signed a 6-year contract extension for under $48 million overall. A couple of team options in there as well. So definitely guaranteed to get some money. Probably could end up with $30 million pretty easily, which over 4 years for the production that at least we've had so far, that'd be great. If he is a 2-WAR pitcher for the next 4 years, that's 8 WAR for $30 million. I can work with that. If he falls off a little bit that last year, okay, it is what it is. Fortunately, personality-wise, I'm okay with, hey, he's a gifted person with leadership abilities. Awesome. Everything else is about neutral. I can work with that. 97 and 99 velocity, right-handed power pitcher, normal arm slot. We'll see what he can work with. For above average pitches, I'm happy with that. He's probably going to give up more home runs than I would like and is still trying to figure out how to keep the walks lower than they are currently. But less than a 10% walk rate, I think I can work with, which he's had so far, 7.4% this last season. That's great compared to his strikeout percentage, a difference in his strikeout and walk rates of 21%. That's awesome. His ERA plus was just 103. So just ever so slightly above league average there. But right now, that's kind of what we need to work with. We don't have a lot of flexibility. We are struggling a little bit to develop players as well. Part of this is we've got a lot of players in the system. Maybe not many of them are very, very good. Some of them just need to spend time at the appropriate league level. And that hopefully will happen a little bit more in 2038. That happened some in 2037. Can that continue moving forward? Overall, the Twins are going to be a bit of a rebuilding project, which is fine. I mentioned signing Juan Navarro to long-term extension. The other exciting, certainly amongst the fans, exciting extension was Campbell Verboom, just signing him to a 1-year extension, avoiding arbitration with him. Easily our best starting pitcher of the season, 3.56 ERA in 31 games started, just under 190 innings pitched. That's pretty nice. That's a nice amount of production. 31 starts is bang on kind of what you want to see from a pitcher. 120 ERA plus. His run WAR or R WAR, which is really kind of dependent upon actual runs allowed, runs scored. 4.0 compared to his FIP-based WAR of 2.7. Largely very happy with that production. 15.1% difference between his strikeout and walk rates. Under a 10% walk rate, that's really exciting. Can he keep that up? We're going to have to wait and see. He's just got under 4 years of total major league experience. Before this season, though, he had made 1, 2, 3. That is all the starts he had made. He had been a reliever otherwise. So first time going up over 100 innings, first time going up over 90 innings in a season in the major leagues. He started a bunch in the minors and in college, but he came up through the system as a reliever. What is he going to do next year? Is he going to kind of fall apart? Because he had a lot more stress on his arm. I think we're going to have to kind of wait and see what happens there, but happy to keep Campbell Verboom around at least for one more season. Kind of have to wait and see how we feel about trying to sign him to an extension. He was not open to discussing an extension long-term this first year. It's an arbitration now. We'll kind of wait and see what happens. There's an opportunity, I think, to sign him for a long-term contract going forward, kind of similar to what we did with Navarro. But Verboom's also 28 and will turn 29 right at the start of spring training next year. Do I really want to sign a 29-year-old, going to be a 30-year-old, to a multi-year extension when he's probably going to be on the decline anyway? Have to wait and see. But overall, not too disappointed in how stuff turned out. Understood coming into the season that we're going to struggle. Was glad I didn't finish at the bottom of the barrel in the overall FSL league, but understandable we finished at the bottom of the American League. I think a goal for us is going to be, oh, hey, can we hit 70 wins next year? That'll probably be hard. Not loving how that looks right now, but we'll get through, see if we get any finalists for any of the other awards. Gold Glove might be a possibility at catcher, but not sure what happens otherwise. Team wasn't very good. That's okay. We have got things to improve. Our St. Paul Saints AAA team did finish above 500. That's exciting. Still 11 games back of the division. Winter League does start up soon. Get those rosters filled, folks. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. Cedar Rapids Colonels finished above 500 and first in their division. Otherwise, not great seasons held by some of the other minor league teams. It is what it is. You're kind of hoping you survive. Don't have a lot of injuries. Being able to keep players developed, that'd be great. Beyond that, it is what it is. We're going to keep going forward. Got to keep the Twins rolling. See if we can get above 70 wins. I think 70 wins will be the goal for 2038 and build from there. The minor league system, at least from the BNN rankings, that is the Baseball News Network, I believe, that is kind of within the game, had our minor league system dropping from 13th down to 24th. Not great. Very disappointing. See if we can build that back up. Part of that might just be we had an okay draft. I probably wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be, especially from a scouting perspective. But that happens. We're going to move forward and see what happens. But overall, this has been James Pablano talking about the Minnesota Twins in the FSL Sim League. Everybody have a fantastic day. Go Twins. Keep it on.